Welcome. Thank you for joining me. Well, today I'm going to talk about something that I have not spoken about in a very long time. And I was challenged by my mentor to talk a little bit about myself for you to get to know me better. Well, that's not something I enjoy doing. I'd much rather be on the other side of the camera instead of this side of the camera. And I can talk business all day long. But when it starts talking more about me personally, I kind of like to sidetrack that. It's always been difficult for me. But today, I want to talk to you about grief. Grief is a very funny, especially whenever you have someone that you love die. They've transitioned over into heaven. So they've got promoted on up. This is very hard for me to talk about. And I'm going to kind of jump back a little bit to kind of give you a little bit of background um, about where some of this grief and anger that I've had to deal with over the years. Now, I remember my cousin Sherry. She was my best friend, and there was like 7 years difference. She was older, and I could tell her anything and everything, and I did not have to worry about anything being passed around to anybody. Not back to my brother or sister or back to my parents. She was my best friend. She was my go to. And she actually died in November of 2001. And to this day, I still think about her on a daily basis. And there are times I'm like, I really wish I could pick up the phone because I got something I need to tell you. Which again, I can't do that. And let's jump forward a little ways. My mother died in November of 2017. Yes, about a week apart as far as in the month of November. And losing my mom was also like losing another best friend because as we got older, as I got older, I could talk to her a little bit easier about different things. And again, without a lot of judgment. And then when she passed, it was like gone. But when my life totally changed was when my husband, Roland, died in February of 2020. So you thought I was going to say November. That was my dad. My dad was November of 2020. Now, when my husband died, it was sudden. He was not sick that we were aware of, and it was a shock. And it was very difficult phase to go through. And it's amazing how, people can be right there with you on the day that it happens and even during the time up until the funeral. But after that, everybody else goes on to their own lives. They go back to they go back to work, and I say that loosely because COVID-19 happened, the pandemic happened, and that pretty much shut everything down. So, yeah, everybody kind of went on into their own routine. And I didn't hear from very many people. And what I have learned is a lot of people didn't know what to say. Nobody knew what to do. I had one friend, she goes, brought over a casserole. She goes, I don't know what else to do. I just know we're supposed to bring food. And so she brought food. And I appreciate that very much. And then when my father passed away, again, it's like those four core people were the ones that kept me grounded. And then once they're gone, I had to learn all over that I cannot depend on people in themselves, that I have to depend on God to get me through each and every day. And God did that. But I want to share with you out of Job. And I know a lot of people are going, not Job. Job is a hard one, hard book to read. And it is. But I'm going to jump into chapter 2 because chapter 1, Job has, already lost his family, lost his property, his possessions, and everything. Chapter 2, this is where he ended up with the sores from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet. And I want you, as I read this, and I will probably not pronounce the names correctly, but we'll get through it. But I want you to take this in mind. So the next time that someone that you know is going through something very difficult that they cannot express, I want you to take Job chapter 2, verses 11 through 13. Take this into consideration. When Job's three friends, Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shahite, and Zophar the Nahamathite, heard about all the troubles that had come upon him, referring to Job, they set out from their homes and met together by agreement to go and sympathize with him and comfort him. But when they saw him from a distance, they could hardly recognize him. They began to weep aloud, and they tore their robes and sprinkled dust on their heads. Then they sat on the ground with him for 7 days and 7 nights. No one said a word to him because they saw how great his suffering was. Sometimes we just don't need food or those comfort words that people go, oh, it's going to be okay. Because trust me, especially when you lose a spouse, it's not okay. Sometimes you just need someone to sit with you and not say a word. We need to take Job's friends as an example for those that are suffering. Because words sometimes are not a comfort. Food is not a comfort. And someone telling you everything is going to be okay, you'll make it through, it was God's timing. Well, baloney on all that crap. Because in the moment, you are so shocked and in disbelief that anything like this has happened. So again, this is something that's very hard for me to talk about because one, I don't like talking about feelings, but I think it's important for you to get another side of what grief is about. Sometimes there are no words. And I know many of us are way too busy to take time from our work and our own families to sit with someone for a week. But it doesn't hurt to pick up the phone or even send a text. I'm thinking about you. I'm praying for you. Just something. Otherwise, that person's going to feel all alone. I know I did. I felt all alone. And even to this day, there are times something happens and it's like, and I'm still thinking he's at work. And I want to text him. And I go, there was one time, he was already gone for 1.5 years. And something happened. And I picked up my phone and I clicked on his name. And I'm like, well, crap. I can't text him. So I just had to put the phone away. There was nobody else I wanted to tell. So I hope this is helpful. I know this is probably a little bit longer than I wanted, but please go in and read Job because it's not all about suffering. It's about staying faithful to God through the grief and the suffering. Because in the end, God will always come out on first, but you have to trust Him. Hey, thank you for listening, and maybe I'll do another one of these soon. Talk to you later. Peace out.